also don't need to see Jamie Kennedy's like hard penis upside down.
I'm sorry, what
Well,
now?
that's where you and I differ.
Is Jamie Kennedy in Django?
Jamie Kennedy. What did I say? Jamie Foxx. Sorry. Jamie
Whoa, because I got very confused. I thought there was
How
a
do you
Jamie Kennedy
confuse
cameo
Jamie
that I
Kennedy
was
and
not
Jamie
aware
Foxx. I
of.
don't know. I'm not a visual person. I was blinded by that penis.
I can guarantee you one of those dicks is a lot bigger than the other.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them is super good looking and talented, and the other is Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Boom.
No,
Oh.
Jamie Foxx is great.
I'm kidding.
Have you seen Ray?
Yeah,
Guys,
he was amazing in
If
Ray.
anybody
Yeah,
says anything
and that's
positive
about
about
it.
Jamie Kennedy, know that they're joking.
If anyone
great.
says anything positive about Jamie Kennedy, he's going to call them personally and thank them.
Welcome to the Horror Virgin.
There we go.
Finally. I'm Clint, by the way.
I'm the Virgin Todd.
And I'm Jenn, and I didn't think of a thing I was going to say. So
Well,
what
It's
did I
fine.
say?
Guys, it's late. Like
Yeah.
we
Yes.
saw a
I'm
late
past my bedtime,
movie.
Jen.
We are staying up late to bring you breaking coverage of The Nun because we know this is what
We're on
you
the
asked
nun
for.
beat for you, yeah.
Can I just ask this? Did you guys enjoy this movie at all?
I did, yeah.
Oh my
That's a
God.
tough question.
Now,
Oh.
I've got, yeah, there's layers to that answer.
Yeah, this movie is stupid, and we're gonna
Is it?
get to
Okay.
the stupidness.
I had
but
my hand
I
up
had
my
a
face.
good time
I did
watching
too.
it
And
because
what-
we were in the theater and people were
I
screaming.
hate-
Todd was shitting his pants.
I hate-
It was a good time.
And what this
I
movie
hated
did well, it did really well.
Yes.
Like very scary
The only
nun
thing it did,
imagery.
the only thing it did well was jump scares.
Jump scares,
The only
atmosphere.
And atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think
Yeah.
atmosphere is jump scare to me, and I hate jump scares.
It was a very spooky movie.
Oh.
Jump scares are Todd Kryptonite.
Oh yeah,
Todd tonight.
yeah. There's
if you
no
will.
way I'm getting hard if it's a jump scary movie.
But this makes no goddamn sense.
And
And I
Yeah.
didn't even really try to figure it out. I was like,
It was
oh.
rated R and there was no nudity.
Yeah.
What?
You needed, yeah.
What
you
is
needed your
happening?
It's
nudity.
rated R for scariness.
Why am I here? Was it really?
'Cause I don't know.
It
Was
was
it
rated
rated
R for
Did
spookiness?
we
A
confirm?
little bit. There was a lot of
Wait,
blood.
is it
in
rated R?
Yeah, that's
There's
true.
a lot of blood. There's a gore factor.
I don't know because that Assassination
It's
Nation
definitely-
trailer was an edited trailer, so it might have been PG-13.
Well, it's definitely an R.
Is it?
It opens with like a nun straight up hanging herself.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah,
we
it's
don't
R.
see
And then-
the nun hang.
No, you do.
You do when
You see her- wait,
when Frenchie
what?
finds her,
And then you see her
she
body
Oh yeah.
fall.
Well, yeah, but you don't,
You don't-
see the impact
What?
of the hanging.
you
Oh,
don't,
yeah, 'cause
but
that's
like
what
her
really
body
matters.
totally
Yeah.
doesn't her body rip from her head when he finds.
No, no.
I thought it
doing
did.
many
Yeah.
impressions of you. I feel like there's an
Yeah,
emptiness on podcast.
the well, we'll get to this when we go through it.
Okay.
Yeah, can we just go
Yeah.
through this fucking movie?
I got to
guys?
drive to Asheville tonight.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
That's a joke for us listeners.
So Todd, what do you know about the Conjuring universe? Do you know anything?
I know there are movies that I typically, when the trailer comes on, I put my head in my hands and start moving my thumbs in my ears so I can't hear anything.
humming
Yeah.
and rocking.
Yeah, yeah,
and,
more or
you
less.
know.
Okay, so The Conjuring is basically like it's a one-off. It's a really, really fucking good movie, and
Yeah.
then some asshole at Warner Brothers was like, "We should make sequels and prequels." Like people,
Well, there is a Conjuring 2, right?
there is
Yeah.
a Conjuring
Okay.
2, and it's
There-
not bad, but
Okay.
it's
It's
not,
okay.
it's unnecessary.
I do like the Amityville horror part at the beginning.
Can I ask?
No.
Did I have to see any of the Conjuring shit for any of this stuff
No.
to make
Not
sense?
really.
You didn't because
Okay.
you're going in order, basically. I mean,
Yeah, if
Well, 'cause
you
the Nun's a
have
prequel,
seen
right?
it, because there's parts at the beginning and the end that are from The Conjuring. So if you have seen it, it's like a little bit extra.
Well, The
but no,
Nun
you don't
takes
have to
place
see
in
it.
1952, right?
Yes, The
And
Nun
the
is the
Conjuring
first.
takes place during the Amityville horror.
The Conjuring is in the 70s.
Yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
I sort of got that vibe because the beginning of this has some scenes from the 70s,
Yes.
and then it says 20 years earlier, 1952, so that makes sense.
they're about a married couple that
that are real people. What is
yes.
it? Elaine and somebody Warren?
Yeah, I think it's the
Ben.
I think it's about the
Ben and
Amityville horror.
Elizabeth.
Is it not?
I keep
No.
saying, I keep wanting to say Elizabeth
Because
Warren.
they said
I do too.
Ed and
Yeah.
Lorraine Lauren.
Warren.
Warren.
I
So
don't
they
even know
are
what she's
real
saying
people,
anymore.
and
Yeah.
they were.
Involved in the real Amityville horror case.
They were. I
weren't
think they I don't think they were heavily involved in it because the rumor is that is all a cover up for something else. But
It was tax fraud.
But so anyways, they investigated a lot of paranormal stuff in the 70s.
Yes.
And so they wrote this movie about them. And they're like, well, they've got all these files. And like they have this room in their house. It's all kinds of artifacts. So that's just a treasure trove of possible spin-off sequels.
Right. So one of the artifacts is this doll named Annabelle, and they make these
And-
Annabelle movies, which
oh, wait,
are
so
also
Annabelle's a part of the
yes,
Conjuring
so
universe?
also
I've heard of Annabelle, but I've
prequels
never
of
seen that,
yeah.
obviously. Yeah, okay.
But okay, so in The Conjuring 2, it was originally a much shorter movie, and then James Wan directed it. Kind of last minute, he decided to add add a new section of the movie with the nun.
Yeah.
And the nun
okay.
originally wasn't in the script. So The Conjuring 2 becomes a much longer movie, and the nun makes her first appearance then. And then they were like, let's make another movie about just the nun.
And
because people care, right? People care about how the nun came to be.
Yeah. Now, and the nun, like, that's not really a big part of The Conjuring 2. Like, it's not really connected. It's connected to the story as much as Annabelle is connected to The Conjuring 1.
Yes, it's not.
So it's sort of shoehorned into the second one.
Yeah.
Quite literally. Like, I almost feel like they maybe shot part of The Conjuring 2 and added the nun section of the movie as they were making it. If it wasn't, it was right before they started
Some
shooting.
of the imagery was not even finished before they did. Like, he went back and added a lot of that into the end after they'd finished all the shooting and everything.
So, and then they did Annabelle, and the first one was total garbage. And then they got a
it was
real
not that
filmmaker
great.
on the second one. The second one was actually decent.
The second one was good. I did like the second one.
But I do not remember a damn thing. I will never watch these again, except for the first Conjuring. All the rest of these, they're one-offs. I'll watch them once.
That's how I feel about the nun.
Yeah.
I hated it.
I enjoyed
And
The Nun. I liked watching it. This is a good Halloween background movie, I think.
I've already forgotten half of it, so I hope that you remembered.
I wrote it down, man.
I mean, I literally had my hand in front of my face for about 65%
Both of you did.
of this movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but
I did not.
Yeah, Todd buttoned his shirt on top of his nose.
I turtled myself
really
into my
did.
shirt. Yes.
It was really
We were
funny.
also in an RPX theater,
was
which is
just a
just
photo of me,
very
right?
big.
I did. Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
social media.
So
Yeah.
our seats were like shaking because our seats have speakers in them. So
Yes.
it was
I kept
intense.
hearing like
It
bells
was
coming
intense.
from all over the place,
Oh, yeah.
and it was storming. So at one point we
Yeah,
heard rain.
a
Like,
huge fucking
in
storm
real
went
life
through.
storming, yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
dude, if the power goes out, I'm gonna fucking lose my
Todd's
mind.
gonna.
If the power went out, I went to the bathroom at one point. I had to pee so bad, but I
waited till Clint
waited
had to
He
go
until
waited till
Clint
I got
went,
up.
and then I
he like
followed
ran down the
Clint.
hallway. He's like, I don't want to go alone.
Yeah, I lived. Oh God, I hate this movie. All right, let's go through the plot of this fucking movie
Okay.
because I hated it.
So it starts in 1952, Romania, and there are two nuns walking down the creepiest
Why does all the
hallway
creepy shit
ever.
happen in Romania?
I don't know.
I already have a
Vampires.
question. We're like
Okay.
10 seconds into this movie.
Yeah.
Why did they need to go down to this dark hallway?
Oh, because
For there to
we
have
find
a
this out
movie.
later, but I guess it was the Nazis or someone was bombing that area during World War
Yeah.
II, and it reopened the sealed place where the demon, whatever, came
Valley.
through.
Like a gateway to hell.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The gateway
all
to
right.
hell had
Portal to
reopened,
hell.
and they were
Okay.
going down there to try and close it. But that's
Yeah.
and that's what we pick up. We don't know that yet, though, in the story. We find that
Okay.
out much later.
Okay,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. Because they weren't going. This was one thing I was confused by, like the God ends
Oh, by the
here
way.
part.
Spoiler alerts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna spoil this movie.
We always
Yeah,
spoil
okay.
everything.
All right.
Sorry.
There are
Oh,
nuns in this movie.
And also,
Spoiler.
you were expecting to hear Carrie this week, and we're not
yeah,
doing
yeah,
that till
yeah.
next week because we wanted to work this in.
Yeah, sorry.
about that.
Yeah, we do that a lot.
So
Yeah.
yeah, the door that they go,
Surprise.
the door that the
says,
two nuns go through
yeah.
says God ends here in I think Latin or some shit.
Romanian something.
It could
So
be
maybe
Romanian.
not go
It's all
in there.
Greek to me.
I understood none of it.
Let me take off my monocle. But yeah.
Monocle Morty.
Yeah, Monocle
My
Morty
favorite
is the best.
emoji.
Yeah, Monocle Morty is the best emoji, guys.
Yeah,
if you're not
dude.
using it, get on our level. Anyway, so one nun opens the door and goes through it.
Yeah.
and then a bunch
She gets sucked through with bloody hands, and the key, the young hot nun grabs the key, and then she's like, "You know what? You have to do?" I mean, for a nun.
I mean, she's covered head to toe.
But
There-
she's
you
got a
can't
pretty
tell.
face.
Well, I mean,
So I guess she's a nunner face.
Because of the lighting of this
Wow.
movie, I could
the
not
worst joke
differentiate
ever.
between any of the nuns.
Yeah, they did all
None.
look alike.
Except
Also-
for the nun, who is clearly a fucking demon and looks like Marilyn Manson.
she
Not
does
so
look
much.
like Marilyn Manson. Yeah, good call. I didn't think about
Oliver
that, but
Red.
yeah. And of course, the female nun who is like one of the protagonists.
The white wearing nun.
Yeah, because she wears a white, solid white.
Yeah.
She doesn't wear the regular habits.
and looks just like Vera Farmiga. So we can,
Yeah.
yeah,
Tessa Farmiga.
Tessa. Yeah.
I think it's Tessa. It might
Or
be
Thaisa.
Thaisa. I don't know. And they're sisters. But
Are we
I-
talking real life shit?
Yeah,
yeah.
they're really
So the
sisters.
woman
Like,
in The Conjuring, this is the much younger sister,
who
and
plays
so
Lorraine Warren is Vera Farmiga from Up in the Air.
I don't know that.
She was in some other stuff.
Okay.
You didn't see
she's
Up
in a
the
ton
Air?
of stuff.
George Clooney, the airplane movie. Why are you looking at me like this is a real movie that people have seen?
She was okay. She was the female lead. She was the female lead in The Departed. How about that?
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
that.
Uh-huh.
So for whatever
Why did
reason,
you pick
I
a
would.
movie that 8 people saw in theaters.
Up in the Air got nominated for Oscars.
It
It's
made-
got George
it made a lot of
Clooney in
money.
it.
Did it make a lot of money?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
You know what I think
Fuck
made
you,
more money?
man.
You know what I think made more money?
The Nun?
Departed.
Goddamn
I
Departed.
did like The Departed.
Me too.
Okay, so
Oh,
I got you.
I'm the
Told
guy
me
who does his
this.
fucking job. That's who I am.
You told me this was the younger sister before we saw the movie, so I
Yeah.
got very confused. I thought she was playing either the younger version of Lorraine because it would have added up age-wise,
Right,
almost
exactly. Because
close.
they're 20 years age difference.
Right, because The
between
Conjuring
two.
starts in the 70s.
And they look just alike.
Yeah, or I thought she was playing like her mother.
Yeah.
Or something. And she was playing neither, which is very weird. I'm like, why would you cast the younger? That would just confuse. I was
Apparently
confused.
he didn't want to cast her because she was in American Horror Story too, which I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but apparently she had a really good audition and he wanted to do it. I think in a sequel they're going to make them connected in some way.
I mean, I don't think she did a bad job. It wasn't like they chose her because they had to.
I mean, she was okay. I don't think any of the performances really blew me away.
I wonder how they're going to do a sequel, though, because at the end, they tie it directly to the first Conjuring.
yes, they do.
Yeah.
So
And she suspiciously is like, hey, that girl looks just like me.
this is a dumb movie, man.
yeah,
It's just, I
They
mean,
really sacrificed story, plot, and sense making to just make it really scary.
yeah.
Or,
Is
like,
it that much to
atmospherical.
ask to do both? Those are the only two things you really have to do.
Right, yeah.
Create a good story and scare us.
Well, I think there was
mean-
an original script and then it was rewritten.
I don't watch movies like this, so I don't think I can be a judge of whether it's a bad script or a good script. But it seemed like they only wanted to deliver very, very scary jump scares.
Yes.
And that's all they did.
It was a jump scare machine.
Yes.
And it was one of those stupid movies where they could have left this location at any time, and they didn't come up with a good enough excuse to
what?
make them stay there.
Let's just go through the fucking
Yeah.
movie because I have so many questions as we go through this. So there are 2 nuns in the basement, or
Right,
what
right.
seems to be like the basement of this castle in Romania.
Yeah, the evil cross hallway.
Right. One of them goes through the door and gives the hot nun a key.
Yeah, Bloody Hands gives her the key.
Yeah, and then
Like-
she gets sucked back to hell or whatever.
Yes.
And then the hot nun goes and hangs herself as devil nun. I don't know what to
nun,
call her. Yeah.
the nun.
The nun, but they're all fucking nuns.
and it
Well,
was
that's
because of
true.
a sacrifice or something. Like, it's unclear when
Well,
we're watching it at
because they had-
first, but she
yeah.
has to kill her. She tells her, she's like, you know what you have to do, and she goes and
Right.
hangs herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, which for nuns, that's like the biggest sin, right? Is
well,
committing
for
suicide?
Catholics,
For
really.
Catholics,
yeah. Sin is it's like
But
murder.
for those Methodist
It's seen
nuns,
as murder.
it's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, we're okay.
Anywho,
So, yeah, she just jumps out the window as the nun is getting her, and then the doors sinisterly close. And then we see...
You mean the window doors? Like
the
the
window doors,
big
yes.
doors.
Did you actually have that in your notes?
No. No, but I thought it was funny. Like, I thought something was going to happen with it.
No,
and
they
it was
just,
like,
you sort of see the
and then you
devil
see the
nun's
nun,
face
yeah.
in the reflection of
the window door.
Yeah.
the window.
Window.
The window.
Widower?
Window.
Windor sounds like where the Ewoks lived.
I could tell you where the Ewoks live, but
They
I
live
just don't
in
want to
Endor.
have sex.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I know where the Ewoks
Thank you
live.
for. We are introduced to sort of like the groundskeeper now, right?
Yeah,
he
Frenchie.
finds.
He's just like, I don't know, lovable goofball from the village who
Yeah,
like
and
brings
he's
carrots.
honestly just delivering
not
food
a
and supplies,
good
it looks like.
Yeah.
actor. Like, I feel like this is the weakest actor of
What
the
the
movie.
hell was
Do
up
you?
with his accent?
Yeah,
I don't think
it-
any of the actors were good.
Well, he was supposed to be French.
Canadian.
But
I'm French Canadian, bitch. That was his big line.
I think that is an actual line of dialogue
I
in
think
this
it is.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's real bad. But his accent wasn't from any one place that I could.
No, at some point I thought he might
He
have
was
been, like,
aiming for a
delayed
French
or
accent,
something.
but just failing, I think, is
it
what
was
we
like
were
a
watching.
mixture of French Canadian slash dumb.
Do you think the director was like, all right, you're supposed to be French? He was like, well, I can't do French. Can you do French Canadian? No. All right, well, we'll
Are you
just say it's
stupid?
French Canadian. Yeah, we'll just say it's French Canadian because most people don't know what that sounds like.
Yeah.
I actually know because of some stuff that I've done in the past. I know a bunch of French Canadians.
Oh, really?
And they sound like French people. They don't sound like really
or Canadians,
demonstrably
right?
different. Yeah, well, Canadians are like more like, hey, what's this all
Hey.
about, eh?
Oh
but
yeah.
French
Hockey.
Canadians are very proudly French people. Like they
Yeah.
sort of hate
Like from Montreal.
Montreal. Yeah.
Canadians sound like this, Todd. You know that.
Oh yeah.
As is tradition. Exactly.
No,
this
no, we
guy was
apologize
like-
for Brian Adams on numerous occasions.
But yeah, so anyway, the French dumbass Frenchie, His name is Frenchie in this movie.
It was, yes.
Did you guys think this was a dude that I kept thinking he wasn't going to play a major part, and he keeps coming back?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Well,
why does this character keep
You don't
coming
think he's
back?
going to come back because he has the acting ability of someone who won like a cereal box contest to be in a movie, and then you're like, oh, that's cool.
So they had to give him that one scene, but then they cut everything else out because they realized what they'd gotten themselves into.
Right.
What review I read compared him to Brendan Fraser in The Mummy, you know?
I love The Mummy.
I do too. I like The Mummy too.
I would say it's not Brendan Fraser's best work.
No,
Mummy's
Encino
not.
Man.
It's his most popular work.
That's true. But anyway, so he is delivering supplies to the nunnery.
like carrots, I think.
Well, I mean, I think it looks like it's food and stuff. It's food
It
stuff.
doesn't matter.
But he
And then
never
he-
sees the nuns. He goes through his secret door in the back and then delivery door.
So
Which
what-
is
Hadn't seen
very
nuns in
odd.
So
2
what you're saying
years.
is normally when he goes to the castle, he goes in the nun's back door?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then drops his carrots off and then
Nice.
just gets out of there.
So what you're saying is he drops his load inside the nun's back door and then leaves.
I did not say that.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Guys, this is a different movie.
This is a different podcast.
I am.
This is a movie Todd's on board with.
Yeah, I am on board for this one.
You guys just send Todd your
So
script and
Frenchie's
he'll punch it up for you.
dropping. Frenchie's dropping loads. No, and so he's going to deposit.
We got to get past this fucking scene.
He's going to deposit his load inside the
Yeah,
nun's back
yeah.
door.
He's seeing-
And then
he
he sees a
the-
bloody dead nun
Right, he
hanging,
sees a bloody
yeah.
dead nun
And then he's
hanging.
out.
And
His
Jim-
dream
Like,
come true.
This is
is
not
the-
what I signed up
This
for.
is the first time I sort of lost it.
Yeah.
Is when you see her because there's like seeing her itself is a jump scare.
Yeah,
And there are a
because
bunch
the
of
crows
crows
have been
eating her face.
And then she falls, and
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
also another jump scare that I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was
Oh yeah,
not
no,
good.
this was
Yeah.
this movie had its moments.
It did.
This
It had
movie
its
had
moments.
It
yeah.
had a lot of moments.
It
I'm
did.
talking. I probably jumped 16 or 17 times,
Yes.
easy.
And watched half of it like, no, I don't want to watch this. I hate it.
Oh.
I think at one point you leaned over and you said, I want to die.
Oh
and
my
that's
god!
when
It
you
was a
button your
very-
shirt on
Yeah.
top of your face.
Yeah.
It was a very audible screening.
Oh yeah, it was. There was a lot of loud
Speaking of
people there.
audible.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Speaking
Brought
of
to you by
audible,
Speaking of
Audible.
Audible.
if you want to listen to some books, go to audibletrial.com/horrorvirgin
Yeah.
to get 30 days free. Yeah, it's audibletrial.com/horrorvirgin. There's no code. It's just the URL. So audibletrial.com/horrorvirgin. Get 30 days free. Get a book to get you started. all
Go
that
read
good
the
stuff.
book this horrible movie's based on.
Is it based on a
Just
book?
kidding.
Book?
No.
I
Yeah,
don't
no,
think it's based
no,
on a
it's not
book.
based on a book. But what you should read is a book on how to screenwrite so you can write a better movie.
Oh, I like that.
I don't know if there's an Audible book about that.
Well, I don't know either.
Screenwriting.
Guys, let us know.
Read a Stephen King book. There are lots of them.
I swear
If
to
you
God.
want suggestions, I'll tell you. Are there any Stephen King books about nuns? I
No.
don't think. I think there are none. Oh, I know.
Wow, you just.
I got one nun pun.
It's fun
and I'm
watching
just
you
gonna
entertain
run it
yourself
into the
and no
ditch.
one else.
I've never seen someone set themselves up for a joke so clearly and then try and pass it off like it was not meant to happen.
I like ran around like
Oh,
pumping my
yeah.
fist in the air and I dumped
Oh,
a bunch
yeah.
of Gatorade on myself.
It was.
But yeah, it was funny.
It was pretty funny. All right. Anyway, so
Yeah, you're
so
welcome,
he,
guys.
He sees the body fall,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
and the scene sort of cuts.
And like
and,
splatters all over.
oh
the
yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
pretty gross. I'm sure
Yeah.
Clint loved it.
I loved it.
But anyway, so then it cuts to the Vatican.
Yeah,
right?
it's straight to the
Yeah,
Vatican.
and
yeah.
the
3 cardinals.
three. Oh, okay.
Well, it was 3 cardinals. You could tell because they're all wearing red.
Popes. Oh,
No,
okay.
popes don't wear red.
What
Cardinals-
colors do popes wear?
Okay, so fathers wear black and white.
Okay.
Bishops wear purple and black,
Ooh.
and some white. They'll wear a white collar sometimes. Cardinals wear red and black.
Hence
and
the
then
name cardinal.
Cardinal. Yeah,
You know,
Okay.
like when you take martial arts and there are different belts of
Yeah.
different
Yes.
colors?
he's not wrong. And then the
Yeah.
Pope is above cardinals, and he's usually wearing white.
Who wears blue?
Nobody.
Nobody pink?
These
This
are
is the
these are
Catholic
these are
Church?
Power Rangers you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Very
either
good.
thinking of Captain
How many
Planet
gold?
or Power Rangers.
I don't know. I don't know.
Either way,
any of those
Hasbro
things.
owns the rights, and we're getting sued.
What color does the Pope wear? White?
White.
All white.
Usually, yeah. He sometimes wears red shoes.
Really?
Yeah.
Like snakeskin red? I had a
No,
pair of
leather
red boots.
leather red shoes.
They were awesome.
We'll get
Yeah.
to the snakes later.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome
A lot of
back
snakes
to
in this movie.
Pope Luxury. This week we're talking about his wardrobe.
Yeah.
Pope Luxury is our new podcast.
Oh, is that a spin-off podcast?
Yeah.
So they
So-
summon this priest.
Yeah.
He's the
They're sitting
Hispanic.
around having a meeting about how to hide all the shit they've been doing.
What
for
did he
years.
call what he did for them? He said that.
So this
In front
scene
of it.
is a
So-
good example of shitty writing. It's like he doesn't really want to be there. He's like, why have I been summoned? And then they try to tell him, and he's like, you're not giving me enough information. But what do they tell him? They
Yeah.
basically tell him
They told
there's
him
like
there
a
was a
spooky,
suicide.
a
Yeah.
suicide at
Yeah.
this abbey,
Yeah.
which is basically, we already know, is like a fucking fortress.
Literally a castle.
Creepy
Yeah.
abbey.
And we find out why they're in the castle to begin
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
because normally nuns don't inhabit castles. They're usually in
They're not in
abbeys
the
and shit
habit
like
of-
that.
But his mission was
Nailed
very
it.
vague, and I needed more out of this scene. Like, it was basically like, we need to know if it's unholy or not.
Yeah.
Like, that was
We
an
need a holy
actual
factor.
line. Like, they
Yeah,
say
and then-
unholy. They're
And then
like,
they say, go collect this almost a nun
Yeah.
person and take her with you.
and I didn't get that either.
Yes.
Now,
they
why
also
did
don't
they
tell him why. No, they
well,
don't
they
tell him
basically
why.
say there's a line in there that's like, oh, she knows nun stuff. Like,
Yeah.
even though she's not really a nun yet, take her. We don't want to use any of the elders that are
Yeah,
actually
the valuable
nuns.
nuns. Yeah.
Take the nun
Well,
that we don't
but
really,
it's
the half
because
nun that we
she
don't
had
give a
some
shit
kind
about.
of visions, right?
Yes,
Like when
they
she
don't
was
tell him
little?
that, but he finds
You
it
think
out.
they know that?
Yes.
Because that was not
Yeah.
made clear to
It
me.
is not made clear, but
Okay.
I think it's
but
sort
like
of
as an
insinuated.
audience member, it was.
Yeah.
None of this matters in this.
It really
scene.
It doesn't.
Like
Because
anytime
this is a
there's
dumb
just
movie.
talking, it's like a stupid story to get us to the next jump scare and to
It
get
is.
us to this location.
That's true.
But this is really just to set up who the father is and what his
Yes.
job is. And his job is like miracle hunting? What did he call it?
Well, he
They
was
did
an
say
exorcist.
miracle
He was an
hunting, right?
exorcist.
He was.
I know, but they
Um,
didn't call it that. They called it like miracle hunting.
I think
which
they did
seemed
call it miracle hunting.
ridiculous to me.
That's when someone's looking for miracles.
Yeah, but he is
They're going on a
clearly
hunt for
hunting
it.
like curses and
Yeah,
he's like
because
the
that's where
opposite
the
of a
He's
miracle
miracle
basic-
hunter.
basically
come from.
the
Fair
unfunny Peter Venkman of the Vatican. Like, they send
true.
him when he actually says paranormal at some point. I thought he did.
He's like
I
the
could be
Max
wrong.
von Sydow of this movie.
When nothing
Oh,
else
yeah.
makes sense, you send this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So he could easily be Constantine.
It's kind of a loose
starring
cannon
Keanu Reeves.
priest.
It is. He has the worst job.
Yeah, he does. Well,
He's not very good at it either.
except for this girl who has to just go along with him and not know anything.
Well, she is a woman in the 50s.
Yeah, so she just has to do whatever. You know, she did everything backwards and in heels and saved the fucking day.
He
Yeah.
could have solved his investigation in about 3 hours.
We'll get there.
You hang out for 3 hours. You're like, hey, guess what? There are no nuns anywhere. There was
Yeah.
an actual suicide, and spooky shit is happening immediately. So time to go home.
Well, so, and here's the thing, because we find out that none of the nuns were actually there the whole time.
I kind of guessed that.
But she had been having visions the whole time. So if they just sent in somebody who doesn't have visions, they would have been like, yo, this place is empty.
Oh,
Let's
so you're
GTFO.
saying those 3 cardinals that sent him there were assholes and didn't know what they were doing?
Or maybe they were evil cardinals and they knew that she would be a good vessel for Valak because she already
Valak?
had visions. That's the demon's name. Yeah, the nun. She would be
Oh,
a
I
good
didn't know that.
vessel.
Sorry.
And so they're really trying, they're like evil and they're trying to like set this whole thing in motion.
This is a
because
lot of
they
projection.
are part of the hereditary crew. Do you see that statue with no head? Yeah. Boom.
no.
None of that.
Sequel.
None of that made sense.
That's how the hereditary connects to the Conjuring universe.
Guys, I have a confession.
So wait,
this
yeah,
is
this is your sequel. Nuns asked for the dollar
Nuns-
sign through
nuns
it. I like it.
dollar
I'm into
sign.
it. Let's
Yeah.
do
this
it.
is the first time in the history of the podcast I fell asleep in a couple of parts
You fell
during
asleep
this
in
movie.
In our
like
podcast?
little like 2 minute, and then there'll be like a jump scare that woke me up again.
So he
Yeah.
leaves the Vatican City. The father
Right.
leaves Vatican City and goes to collect the girl who's not quite a nun yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's wearing all white or whatever.
I want to sing that Britney song.
And that wasn't
Not
enough.
yet
Not a
a
girl.
nun.
And that wasn't enough for me either.
not
Like in that
a
scene
no
where he doesn't really say anything that makes like she just sort of asks him why me, and
he's like, I don't know, they told me.
He literally says, "I
He's
don't
like,
know," but they
Yeah.
wouldn't have.
Let's go find out why they summoned
Yeah,
you or
yeah.
something.
He may as well have just said
God reasons.
the screenwriter couldn't allow
Right.
the audience to know at this point, so I don't know.
I have a question.
What's
Is
up?
this like the impossible mission force where like you have to accept every mission or something?
Yeah, because of God. If you don't, you go to hell.
So
Yeah.
you can't say no to the
Yeah.
Vatican?
No.
Like
So
find
you're
somebody
saying
else?
Father Ethan Hunt has to go and take almost a nun.
Ethan Hunt actually
Is that her name
posed
now?
as a priest at the Vatican
Oh my
in
God.
part 3.
Oh my God, you're right. Holy shit.
I don't know what movie you're talking about. I'm out.
Have we seen Tom Cruise and Father Nobody in the same room together?
It's possible.
Nobody.
It was just a
The
rubber
father from
mask,
this who
dude. It was him the whole
Oh.
time.
Father, I just kept thinking.
Oh my God. I would love it if at the end of the credits he peels the mask off and it's fucking Tom
And
Cruise
he has
the
a
whole
bow
time.
tie that's also a camera.
I'm glad we connected it to a much better and entertaining franchise.
Yeah, can we just watch the IMF movies? All right, so he goes and picks up Almost a Nun. I don't even know where she was. They don't really establish that too much, do they?
I don't
She's
know.
not
Some
in
nun
Romania.
school.
I thought that she was.
London.
Okay, so
oh,
she's in
that's
London.
right.
Because all
So
those
he
girls
goes
have
to.
those accents.
Yes,
That's right.
And then they go to Romania. So and that scene
and she
where
gets
he picks her
nun
up.
shamed for saying something about
right?
dinosaurs.
She's getting nun shamed all over the place
Oh,
in this
yeah.
movie.
She's kind of a loose cannon nun.
Oh, she is a loose nun for sure. Ooh.
So she's sort of like she's a nun in training of
Maybe.
sorts.
She hasn't taken her vows
Maybe
yet.
she's a loose woman
Everybody-
who is nundercover, hiding out in a convent.
I will
That's
leave.
how you
I
do
will
a nun
leave this
pun.
room.
Nailed it.
I will give you that.
Yeah, that is
I
a
will
nun
leave this
pun right
room.
there.
Nundercover.
I will
Cover,
walk
my
out.
man.
If this doesn't
Clint.
stop,
Is
I will
Nundercover.
walk out.
Nailed it.
Clint's having none of your puns.
Oh, damn.
Boom.
He's having none of my pun nunnery. All right. So they go to Romania. That's how you say it, right?
Romania.
I think you're saying it wrong.
Romania is a flower,
No.
I believe.
We were at dinner one time, and when somebody said rhinoceros, and my brother said no, it's pronounced rhinoceros. We
Wow.
lost our
Really?
fucking minds.
Really?
It was the funniest thing ever. I don't know. It was
A
hilarious.
rhinoceros?
Rhinoceros.
Wow.
No, it's pronounced rhinoceros.
okay,
and
so
we
this
thought that
is-
was the funniest thing.
This is like a pro tip. If you ever say
Love
a
you,
word
Josh.
wrong,
Yeah.
if you ever say a word wrong, just be like, "Oh, I've
Own
only
it.
read that word. I've never said that word. I've only read that word."
Like wind. Oh, I thought that's how you pronounced wind.
You mean wind?
that
Oh
makes
wow!
sense.
Oh, I've only read that
You
word. I don't know.
read.
I don't know.
That's how people know you read.
So they go to
Yeah.
Romania.
Yeah, and Frenchie's having a dream about all the blood on the steps from
All the dreams in
Hung
this
Nun.
movie were pretty freaky.
They were.
They were,
Yeah.
yeah. All of them
They were
were
intense.
delivery for
and
jump scare.
I kept thinking like things were dreams that weren't dreams too. Like I really feel like might have been the only dream in the movie, right?
No, there were Almost a Nun had one when she
had
stayed
one, too.
overnight.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, but we'll
she did.
get to that. So we do see Frenchie's dream, and
yeah,
then he
Frenchie
wakes
dream,
up
and then he wakes up
wearing
with
long johns.
long johns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
We
then
were once again reminded that this guy is back and not going anywhere as a character.
we're
Yeah.
like, oh, he's
He was kind of lovable.
in more than one scene.
Yeah, if he didn't talk as much, he could get it. A little dreamy.
Honestly,
He's no
that
Brendan Fraser, but
that nun, the Almost a Nun, not my type.
Tessa Farmiga.
Yeah.
She's in American Horror Story occasionally, and she's got a killer vagina.
So she's got a really nice vagina.
No, she kills people with her vagina.
I'm out.
Like she goes to a hospital at one point and like climbs on top of a guy, and that's how she kills him.
Clint,
Yeah.
I'm out. Frenchie starts here knocking his door, and it's the
Yeah.
father and Almost a Nun.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, did I sleep with your daughter?"
So it's
man?"
Yeah, he's like
Ethan Hunt and the
immediately
nun.
establishing himself as sort of like a French man whore.
Yeah.
And hits on what is
Well,
her
he
name?
doesn't
Almost
almost
a
a
nun.
nun.
Almost none.
Irene
nun.
is her name. Irene. Sister
What's her
Irene.
nickname? Jen. Almost a Nun.
Every time you say that, I want to sing that Britney Spears song though, and it's
So Ethan Hunt and Almost a Nun meet Frenchie at this point, and they convince Frenchie through a Jedi mind trick of sorts to take them to the.
no through her hotness to
It
take
is-
them to the
She does
thing.
sort of lay it on.
Yeah, she's
she's
not
like,
wearing her nun stuff.
Frenchie,
Yeah. Oh, Frenchie.
oh, would you please?
I
take
haven't
also-
taken my vows yet, but you'd
Yes.
like to take
I
them
haven't taken
first.
my-
Oh,
Oh, nice.
gross. So then they load up and they go.
Should we
Yeah,
call it
they
the
go to
Abbey?
Yeah, that's
Is
what
it
it's
an
called.
abbey? It's
Evil
like
Abbey. It's an
more
abbey.
like a castle.
Well, they kept
They call it
referring
an
to it as
abbey.
an abbey.
So they load up and go to the
It's
abbey.
an
then.
abbey. Yes.
Okay.
Evil Abbey.
The evil
through
abbey.
the creepy cross forest.
And the horse would not go. The
Yes.
horse was the same horse that they took in that
Did I
Belle's
sleep
father
through
took
this?
in Beauty and the Beast.
Of course.
I
Yes,
have
that
no
guy.
recollection of this horse.
Yeah. What's
That's
his
'cause
name?
he was
Philippe. Philippe.
Yeah, Philippe.
That's Beauty and the Beast horse.
Yeah, so the only reason
I think Clint's gonna quit this podcast.
the reason you
after
don't
tonight.
remember the reason you don't remember the horse is because he's in it for 30 seconds and he's like,
Yeah.
this is such a bad
Because
movie.
He's the
I'm out."
smartest creature in this
Well,
entire movie.
there was also a really
He's
weird.
like, call my agent. I'm out.
There was
Yeah.
also a really weird scene where Frenchie, like there are cars everywhere, and Frenchie's
yeah.
like, "Oh, just kidding. We're in Romania, and we have
Yeah.
to ride horses
It's
now."
also-
And you're like, "Really?" Because we just saw a bunch of cars on
A
the street.
bunch of cars.
Yeah.
It wasn't just
But
one.
Frenchie.
There's no
They
internal
coulda left a
combustion
lot
engine in
faster.
the cross force.
Could have left a lot faster if they had cars. Just
Oh
saying.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah.
There
I
could have been a
mean-
really cool scene where they tried to get away in the carriage and the nun stopped them or something.
Like,
But I'm not
down
writing
the
this
street.
movie.
No.
What's your deal with one location movies? Like, I kind of like movies where you're trapped.
I don't have a deal. I don't have a.
You complain about that quite a bit.
No, I didn't. When have I ever complained about
Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Child's Play.
No,
Evil
Frailty.
the joke
Tremors.
the joke was I thought Child's Play was a one location
That's
movie, and it
true.
turns out it wasn't. I
Turns out
actually
it was
really dig
multiple.
one location.
There were a lot of locations in Child's Play.
They're like
Paper Street.
But my only deal with this
Toy store.
this location is
jail.
my only deal with this location is they could have fucking left at any time, and
Yeah.
instead they keep going down creepy
No,
hauways
it's not-
and following people into the
They
cemeteries.
have
not
to
that they
close
could
the
have
portal
left.
to hell, Clint.
It's also that they really fucking should have left.
Yeah, that's true.
There
Yeah.
were so many times where, almost immediately when they get there, shit starts to happen.
But maybe after you're buried alive in a coffin
Yes.
by
Let's get
an
there.
entity that you can't
But look,
see.
Let's get
so there
there.
is a book called The Gift of Fear, which is all about how fear is our instinct that something is not right. And one of the analogies they make is like a deer would never get into an elevator with a wolf because the deer senses the danger and immediately listens to
But
that
what if they had to
danger.
be in the same meeting on the same floor?
Well, but
Why the fuck would a deer and a wolf be in an elevator, Jen?
why would a wolf be there? But okay, so my point is
That
people.
Bambi and Michael J. Fox would not share an elevator. We get it. Bambi is a deer. Michael J. Fox from Teen Wolf.
Oh, okay. Women get into elevators all the time with creepy men.
Oh, my
so
God.
I thought you were just going to stop there.
So all
Women get in
this-
elevators all the time. Did you know this?
They do.
Oh, dear. Nailed it.
All this to say, if your horse won't go somewhere, get the fuck out.
Yeah, to follow
Yeah,
Philippe
listen
out of the
to the
fucking
horse,
forest. Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, so they get to the Abbey,
They
and
get
then
to the Abbey.
they take him
go
to the front.
in, and it is just creepy
Well,
as
they
fuck.
don't go in yet.
Oh,
They go to the
that's
front
right.
door where he found the body and the blood's still wet.
Yeah.
And then he takes him to the back door
Suspiciously.
that he's been dropping loads in, and he goes in because he left the nun
finds
there.
frozen nun.
He told the nun.
It's the ice
yeah.
box.
I mean, sometimes you
This
gotta
is the
preserve
first
it, right?
scene where they should have gotten the fuck out of there.
Yes. Because
That-
the nun, who he was like, that nun was lying down when I left, and it's now
Yeah.
sitting up.
Nope, out.
I'd have been like,
Yep.
oh, so this nun was, we're leaving now? Get Philippe. We're going to.
Also, oh yeah, Philippe won't go. There's like a billion crosses on the ground
Wait.
surrounding this
Is
place.
this Ryan Philippe?
No, Philippe is the horse.
I'm out. We got to get Ryan on the show.
Yeah.
He's got to answer for why he
Maybe.
wouldn't go to the castle.
All right. Maybe he is related to this horse. Maybe they'll explain how he's related to the horse in a sequel.
Of course he would.
Of course. You still my joke. It is funny.
Yes.
Woo! Rhyming and puns. That's my comedy goal.
And famous Mr. Ed jokes. This is the greatest. This is why this podcast works. Clint, this is where they find the key though, right? He like breaks her hand. There weren't any jump scares really at that point. I thought there was going to be.
Yeah.
But this,
They
okay.
set you up, man.
I hate movies that do this.
Scary movies.
Just in general, full
Yeah.
stop, I hate scary movies, but there aren't consistent jump scares. Like they set up moments that you're like, oh, something bad's gonna happen, something bad's gonna happen, something bad's gonna happen, and it doesn't. Like this scene is one of them because you're sure someone's gonna grab him or that's the devil nun or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's not.
It's just a regular
They
dead
just
nun.
sort of move her hand and you hear it crack, which is the sound that comes back later.
Yes, it does.
But there's no scary
crack
shit that happens. You
came
just
back.
grab the key and that's it.
Yeah.
More or less, right?
Yeah, that's how they get you.
I know.
If without
They
by not
lull
having a
you
jump
in.
scare every single time.
They lull you in with a false sense of security.
Yes.
And then they are dropping loads inside
And
your
then they
back door
stab
icebox.
you in the
It's
back.
the worst.
These are like substanceless jump scares, you
Yes.
know? So I'm okay with them mixing it up a little bit, you know, because they got to give us something other than just like, oh, there's another nun. Oh, the nun's behind me. Oh, no, now it's a mirror nun.
But
Oh,
if there
it's a
is
bloody
no
back
story,
face
then give
nun.
us more of that.
Yeah.
Because, like, what's
So
the point?
They
you
get
know?
the key, more or less. And
They
then you don't really see the key till the it's almost towards the very end of the movie.
Yeah, and I
again.
thought the key was like the key to that closet to hell. But I don't
Me
think
too,
it is.
but it wasn't.
We found it's the key
Because-
to the blood of Christ that
Yeah, it was the key to the relic, but they didn't take the relic with them at the beginning. So the two nuns that were trying to close it up at the very beginning, they didn't take the relic with them.
No, because they hadn't gotten there yet.
But
'Cause
why
they
would
got
you-
nunned as soon as she got sucked into the doorway.
I know, but why would you go to the doorway when the relic isn't down that doorway?
Was it not? Because they
No.
hadn't had the visions that says Mary points the way.
All right.
Ooh,
that
that's
may
why
be.
the Cardinals want her there. Yeah.
That could
God.
be.
God told them.
Yeah.
They really just want Jesus' blood.
So now you're on the
Finger
side of Cardinals?
God. I don't know.
You thought they were the missing link between Hereditary and this, and now
I
they're
did.
good. Okay.
I mean, it's ambiguous, you know. I like movies that let me make my own mind up about things.
That's why you like the Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Oh, I love the Autopsy of
It's
Jane
like a
Doe.
blank canvas you can project all your shit onto.
I can,
Yeah.
and it works.
I love movies that make me the screenwriter. And I don't get paid or I don't get credit.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And this
Oh,
is
they
when
go
I
into like the
started thinking-
crypt, sort of.
No, it's just like the abbey looks creepy.
Well, aren't there like sarcophaguses and a double-sided chair in the middle?
I don't know. I thought that was just like the foyer or something.
It might be.
Well,
but
they
they're
go in to
using it
talk
sort
to
of like
the
a
head
crypt.
nun. What is her name? She has some sort of weird title. She doesn't show her face.
The abbess.
She's sitting in.
I remember. It
I
being
don't
something
fucking
weird.
know.
I don't know.
She's sitting in that
Weirdo
giant
seat nun.
cathedral by herself in this chair.
Yeah.
Who was that guy in Lord of the Rings, the king that got sucked into evil and he was really old?
Yeah, it's the
Brad
King of Rowan.
Dourif
I don't
king?
remember his name. It was the King of Rowan. When
Like
Wormtongue was whispering in his ear, he got really old and disgusting.
Oh yeah.
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 Guys,
I don't actually remember.
I'm a
but-
very big nerd. So yeah.
So
I
anyways,
once dated a shield maiden of Rowan.
did you really?
This was pretty creepy, and you saw it before I did, because they walk in the room. There's 2 sarcophaguses on either side of this
Sarcophagi.
double-sided chair, right? And the not quite a nun walks past one side of the chair. It's a double-sided chair,
Yeah,
so
and then all
you
of a sudden
see
she's
the
like-
outline of the nun slowly come into focus while you're looking over the shoulder, more or less, of the
Right.
not quite a nun.
Yeah.
And then she turns around and starts talking to the head abbey lady or whatever.
Yeah, because all of a sudden we realize that there's somebody sitting in this chair that's been there the whole time and hasn't
Yes.
said anything, and we don't ever see her because she's got a weirdo.
She's got a black veil over her face. Yeah.
Big red flag. People don't just sit in chairs and stare wearing like black whatevers.
Anyway,
And
they
then
should
there
have got
are
the fuck out
regular
at that
people.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at that point, Father Ethan Hunt talks to the head mistress of the abbey, and she says that
Was she ever real, do we think?
No.
I don't
Yeah,
think
I don't
so.
think so either.
No, she was never real. She was dead for 10
Which
years.
sort of gives them the license to just sort of do whatever the fuck they want.
I
Like
really
people can
think she-
show up everywhere, and it's
Yeah.
just that I don't know. Here's
She
what drives me crazy
exists
about
to
these
tell
types
us
of movies.
about this night to dawn thing. That's
Yeah,
the only
it
reason.
Where they-
drives me
yeah.
crazy. I know this bothers you too. It drives me crazy when I
Yes.
don't know what the rules are.
Yeah.
And
they're never explained.
It got a little bit better later on because one of the nuns had said, "Oh, this is just this one demon. She usually
Yeah.
looks like a nun, but she can look like whatever you're afraid of, like sort of like, oh,
She's
you're
like
like
Pennywise."
Pennywise." Which helped a little bit, but
Yeah.
it also just a lot of this shit just didn't make any sense.
Well, yeah,
it really
because
didn't.
there are no rules.
Yeah, it's like the father is being tortured by this kid that he couldn't save, that he tried to do an exorcism on, which we're kind of jumping all over the place a little bit, but it's like,
It really is like a Pennywise thing. It's like they're just using evil to fuck with you.
right, whatever your personal fear is. But unlike it, they run toward whatever the fuck is going on.
Yeah,
If
because they got
they're-
to save the evil.
Yeah.
Or they got to save the world from evil.
So when the
But they
father
don't know that yet.
Right.
They don't.
So this is dumb.
So, yeah, well, they know that they're going to get in trouble with the Cardinals if they don't save the world from evil.
Who
so
the fuck cares?
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not a Catholic.
Me either. I'm out.
Come at me, Cardinals.
Yeah. Bring it.
Just go back and make up something to the Cardinals.
Take your
Make up
red
whatever.
shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a suicide. The
Oh,
place
yeah.
is good.
Yeah, we're
no
good.
worries.
You
I
guys
don't
should
know where that evil came from.
you guys should definitely summer there. I'm out.
that evil came from another honest.
It's also one of those movies where like the evil entity really could slaughter all of them, and
Yeah.
instead she's like, I'm gonna fuck with everybody.
right.
You
Yeah.
know, I'm
Just
like,
for evil fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's talking to the head abbey lady, and she's like,
Yeah.
you can't talk to the nuns, because he wants to talk to all the nuns that are there
Mm-hmm.
and just sort of interview them about what happened and why the nun killed herself.
Yeah.
And she says, you can't talk to them because they take a vow of silence from sundown to sun up.
Yeah.
But you can stay in like
In
the
the
guest house,
convent.
more or less.
The
Yeah, the convent, which
Yeah.
is right off the castle, more or less.
Yeah.
And he's like, thank you. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Whatever. They leave. They go to the convent.
And Frenchie leaves too.
Frenchie does. Frenchie's like, guys, I'm out.
He was thinking about staying. He's like, I don't know if I trust this priest alone with this young lady,
Right.
who hasn't taken her vows yet.
Right,
So, maybe I should stay.
Listen.
Plus, maybe she likes me because she hasn't taken her vows yet.
Right.
But they're like, nah, we're good. So he walks back through the creepy cross forest.
Well, and
In
right
darkness.
before that, he's talking to the father, and father's like, Frenchie, you should leave just so you're not on the road at night. Cut
Right.
to him leaving their door at
And
night.
No,
Like,
I thought he
what?
said you should stay so you don't have to be on the road at night. But he's like, no, this place is creepy because there's like a Jesus on the cross without a head.
I may have misunderstood that
Hereditary.
because I had my hand in front of my face.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Saying,
So,
I want to die, I want to die.
yeah, either way, he leaves at night, doesn't make it very far before
No.
he sees a nun in the woods
Uh-huh.
turn and walk away.
Yeah, dragging a noose.
Right, and then a jump scare where she's walking like right in front of him, dragging a noose.
And yeah.
And then he follows her, like calling after her or whatever, like, what are you doing
Hey,
with my
nun.
noose? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he walks towards the graveyard. This part really broke me. as a
Yeah,
person. I
dude.
fucking
I like
Hated
this
it.
scene.
I did too.
It was fun.
Man. Yeah.
But
And-
then she hangs right above him.
Yeah, then it doesn't stop, and I feel like this is kind of what sets this one apart from some of the other Conjuring ones, is that the nun all of a sudden becomes like an evil demon nun and like a vampire nun jumping on him and like trying to bite his face off.
Now, why do you say vampire nun? Just because of the sharp, pointy teeth?
Yeah, kind of.
But they're all sharp and pointy. It's not just the two
Right,
classic
yeah,
vampires.
yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
fine. Sure. I mean, and she was bitey, so I get that. I just
right.
want to
Plus,
make sure.
there were
Okay.
all those crosses and they're like wooden stakes and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done to defeat
I did
this nun.
really enjoy Frenchie in this moment where he does sort of fight the nun off of him.
Yeah.
And he's walking to the graveyard, and it's just a bunch of wooden crosses in the
He
graveyard.
yanks one
and
out of the
he
ground.
rips one up and just
Like a
walks
big
away
one.
with
Takes
it.
and runs away with
And that,
it.
well, yeah, and that's the end of that scene.
That is
But
funny.
later in the movie, you see him at a bar,
With the
sitting,
cross.
sitting at the bar, and this huge fucking cross is like
That was
leaning
funny.
against the stool
Yeah.
next to him. I really liked that part. I thought that was very funny.
I don't think that his parts were funny, and I did enjoy those.
I think he was effective comic relief
He was,
when
yeah, and
they
I
used him that way, which I don't think they used him that way enough because
Right.
it should have been like 95% comedy, 0% jump scares, and I would have been in it. Like if this was a
Right.
rom-com about a French dude who lived in Romania who turned a chick who was not quite a nun
Yeah.
into his like love interest or
Wife.
whatever. Wife, sure. I would have loved this movie.
I'm pretty sure that was the only funny part of this movie.
It really was.
Yeah.
And you bet your ass you ever meet that screenwriter one day is like, hey, do you like that cross part?
Yeah.
It's funny,
That was
wasn't
funny.
it?
This was
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they tried to make another funny part with a shotgun, and it just wasn't that effective.
It wasn't as effective, but I could tell they were trying to make it funny.
Yeah, I just couldn't always understand what he was saying.
I mean, you don't see him for a while.
Yeah.
And now it's just the father and the not
And-
quite
We get a break
nun.
from shitty
Yeah.
acting.
And
Yeah.
the father wakes up because he hears the radio.
Well, she's cooked him dinner too, and they're having their nice
Oh.
little man and wife evening together.
I went and peed.
Oh yeah, that's
So
when
I
Todd
didn't see
ran
this
off.
part.
He
Oh,
saw that
yeah.
Clint
We
was
came
going
back
to
right
be-
at the radio, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so they go to bed in the convent. They go to bed in the convent, and then all of a sudden the old timey radio, which is just creepy as fuck. Anyways, and this is when I started thinking I could not have been alive at this point because there's not nearly enough lights, and everything
No,
is just super
there needed to be
creepy.
candles all over this bitch if
Yes,
there was no
dude.
electricity. Electricity.
Electricity.
Electricity. Yeah, it was way too dark the whole time, and I kept wanting them to turn the lights on, and I guess there just weren't light switches. But I would not have been able to handle it back then.
But
I would
yeah.
have had permanently had one of those like coal miner helmets on all the time, so I could see everything. So
And
I
a
could see
canary on your
around
shoulder?
me.
You've
Yeah.
really thought
Yeah.
about this
I have
in
because
the
it's
last
scary.
hour.
Yeah, I don't like the lights off. It's spooky.
Me either.
Yeah.
I will be sleeping with the lights on for the next few nights like I did with Hereditary.
Yeah, I slept
I
with
can't
my
do
lights
this.
on all through high school and probably middle school, and now I sleep with the TV on.
Yeah.
That's how you don't get got.
Yeah, so he goes out because he hears the radio. He has
Yeah.
a flashlight because the lights are out.
Oh, and he has conveniently just told her the story when they were having their man and
that's
wife
right,
dinner
that's right, that's right.
about the boy who he had exorcised.
Who he successfully exorcised, but the demon being ripped from his body gave
Killed
him
him.
injuries that killed him.
So I guess it depends on what you're looking at as your definition of success.
Right, he
Like,
did-
yes, he got the demon out, but the kid died, so, you
Yeah.
know. His parents probably don't think it was successful.
Probably not.
Yeah.
That's fair.
You think he was
But
the
they
dad?
did make a point to say that he died a few days later.
Yeah.
So, like, the demon was exorcised, but it killed him in the process.
Right. Like, he didn't die, like, get exorcised and then just, like, get the flu or
I just,
something.
yeah, he got the
He had
black
the
lung
worst
pop.
luck ever,
Yeah.
man.
And
Can't catch a break in these 1400s.
1400s, it was like
40s. I'm sorry.
it was like the late
I don't
40s at that
know. It
point.
was
Yeah.
before I was born.
Anyway, he walks out and he's got a
wondering-
flashlight.
and he hears footsteps in the convent.
Dude,
and this
I
part was
really
creepy
liked
too.
when he's shown the light on the radio.
radio.
And the
Yeah.
radio just
Yeah.
like died.
Meow.
It was creepy.
Yeah. It sounded like when you turn off an old record player and it just slows down and stops. It
Yeah.
sounded like that. It was
Yeah.
cool.
And then we see that the not quite a nun is still in bed, so we know that wasn't her scrambly feet. Yeah.
Right. And it was it's obviously the devil nun, but the devil nun can manifest itself in ways that are most scary to you. And because he had the kid's name was Michael, right?
Daniel.
Daniel, that's what it
Yeah.
I was
was.
going to call him Snake Tongue.
Snake
but
Tongue.
Snake tongue is more
Snake-
accurate.
Snake Tongue comes
Yeah.
back a
Spoiler
lot.
alert, yeah. So anyway, he follows Daniel Snake Tongue
Yeah.
out of the
Daniel Snake
convent. Daniel Snake Tongue out of the convent. There's a lot of jump scares, a lot of jump scary setup moments, and then he pops out from behind a tree or some
Yeah,
shit.
See, here's what you do when you see creepy shit that you know is not fucking real. You light a billion candles and you sit in the middle of them with a cross in your hand and you wait for morning and then you get the fuck out. You
Yeah.
don't follow these people down the creepy evil hallway
And
or
they
into
do
the
it
cross
every
cemetery.
single time.
Well,
it
you
happens
certainly
a
don't-
dozen times in this
I know.
movie.
You certainly don't follow it out there let the snake jump out of Daniel's mouth, bite you, make you fall into your own grave that is for some reason automatically covered.
Yeah, this is when I was
that
starting
was
to think
bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you think it's a dream.
And then they close.
then
Yeah,
it's
they like
not a
close in on his
dream.
tombstone, but then when they zoom back out, he's already underground, and you're
Right.
like, huh?
And there's grass growing on top of the ground.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, like it is undisturbed earth.
Right.
Todd, I thought maybe
Like,
you were gonna
he's been
puke
in this
during
dead-
the snake,
the
the
snake
first
time.
part. The snake came out.
When he's throwing up the snake, that
Yeah.
was pretty rough for me. I'm not gonna lie. I had
Yeah, it was
Reese's
good.
Pieces in my mouth and I almost choked to death. But that's when Not Quite a Nun wakes up. Why
and
does
she follows some kind of nun person out into the creepy cemetery or something.
Yes. I don't understand why the nun wanted to kill the father but didn't go after Not Quite a Nun. Because she goes out there and sort of hears the bell ringing because there's bells on strings.
Yeah.
And he's shaking the bell.
Which the second you see a bell on a string by a grave, you know that there's going to be some shit happening.
You
to
leave that
bell.
graveyard.
And there's also like, the nun has all these powers that we find out like as the movie goes on, and it's just like, why don't you just off these people right away? It makes
Right.
no sense. She has what I can only describe as tornado breath. So when
Yeah.
she starts, like, she can like blow down a hallway, and people are like hanging on to shit.
Well, she has to get Not Quite a Nun into the pentagram, I think. So that's the only reason I could see to keep
okay.
her
So she needed
alive.
to get her in that pentagram. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. That's much later, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
As to why she didn't attack her
But
at
she
that
doesn't
moment.
need the father.
She doesn't.
So I don't know.
So just
So
fucking.
either way, the Not Quite a Nun saves the father by digging him up.
Yeah, she has. So all the bells start ringing, and then she has like some kind of vision where she can tell which one it is. Which, if she had just looked at the headstone, she would have seen his name there. I'm like, oh, okay.
Would she have? One of the biggest jump scares in the movie for me was when he was in that coffin and the hands came up and started grabbing him.
Yeah.
Yes.
'Cause we
That
thought it
scared
was
the
going to be the snake.
shit out
Because
of
you were
me.
like, what happened to that snake? What happened to the
I
snake?
know. I was clocking that snake. I was like, I saw that snake for a second. Snake's gone, but where's the snake? Snake might be there with him.
Snake is at
you gotta
3
watch out for
o'clock.
that snake.
Snake is at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, that snake's
Not
on
in
his
his
feet.
corner.
And he was like holding the lighter down there, like he was trying to see if that snake had popped up. Ooh, I'd have lost my shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, I lost my shit anyway at the hands.
They did, yeah.
And then
And then she's like stabbed a shovel right through the face
Yeah.
of this coffin.
well, she was trying to dig him up
This
quickly.
convenient shovel that happens to be around.
Yeah.
You don't like machete knife your shovel right where his face is going to be.
That would have been really
Killed him.
cool if she'd have killed him.
That
I mean, that would have been the best.
I would have actually liked the movie better if she had killed him.
I love
would've been kinda
accidental
funny.
deaths like that.
Yeah.
Remember World War Z?
Yes.
Yeah.
When the dude just trips and kind of like blows himself up?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Brad Pitt's like, what?
She gets him out of the coffin.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of morning again. And
Yeah.
if you are not immediately getting
Out.
the fuck out of this
Yes.
place,
What is wrong with you?
you
I bet
deserve
Philippe is
to
probably
die.
still staying there at the border of the
No,
cross forest.
Philippe is back in town because Frenchie took him back.
But you could probably get that carriage that walks on its own, right? Because it's enchanted to take you back.
This is not Beauty and the Beast.
But wouldn't it be
It doesn't
cool?
walk on its
No,
own.
Beauty and the Beast is nothing more than teaching men about Stockholm Syndrome.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I do like Beauty and the
And listen, I'm into it.
Beast. Oh, I love the Little
Oh,
Mermaid.
yeah. The Little Mermaid, not only is, I like redheads, so not only is Little Mermaid the hottest princess
Oh,
ever,
I see.
but also,
That's where this is
Redhead, and she's
going.
wet all the time.
but no, also, it teaches women to not say anything.
Yeah.
You also probably like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, don't you?
I don't like that movie.
Oh, shit, yeah. Dude, Jessica Rabbit, ooh, baby.
Oh, dear.
No joke, Jen.
Yeah.
No
she
joke.
can get it. Are you going to say
She
she can
could
get it?
get
Oh my
it.
God. Yeah.
Anywho,
They were all out after my
can
ninth
we
nun.
go through this fucking
Yeah, I gotta
movie?
get to
Yeah.
Asheville, man.
It was the morning after, the first
Oh,
night.
yeah.
And they should have
Yeah.
been getting the fuck out of there, but they weren't. They were like, let's hang out and like figure some
Let's
stuff
see.
out.
Well, they have to hunt these miracles down. The miracles aren't going to hunt
They
themselves.
do. And so Father,
Amorth.
what movie is Father Amorth in?
It's The Exorcist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet Lord.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think our education is working. You don't remember he's from The Exorcist?
No.
Ugh.
Dude, The Exorcist was fucking months ago.
Yeah, I remember everything now.
Ugh.
Steel Trap.
I really do try to forget everything we watch. I hate them.
Who was this again? No, he realizes that in this casket that he got weirdo buried in, there was actually a body and 2 books. And I didn't realize this until we just got back here, that he took those books and that's what he was looking at.
Well,
And that's
that
how
was
he
very
found out
odd
what it
because I
was.
didn't see the books at all when he was in the coffin, and then
Yeah.
No,
and then
they weren't there.
That's what I thought.
You know
Yeah.
what
So
I
they
thought was
appear later.
weird, though? Here's what was weird.
Stupid.
Is that all of a sudden there was a dug grave with an empty casket that he just fell into, and then magically it was covered up. So that's what I thought was weird.
There's a lot of weird, but none of it makes sense.
Right, exactly.
And they don't
now
even
there's
attempt,
some bodies and books.
They don't even attempt to make it make sense. Yeah.
I mean, if your story is just going to be bonkers, not make sense, just go for it, you know?
And they did.
Make it not make
they
sense at
gripped
all.
it and ripped it.
They did, yeah.
When is the father looking at those books? Is it that night or is it the morning after?
I mean, throughout the day. So
Okay.
what we find out is that Irene is the only one who can go in because she's
Irene
a lady.
is not quite a nun.
Yes.
Okay.
She's not quite a nun, but she can still hang with the nuns
Yeah.
because she is a lady.
And she's sort of wearing a habit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes she doesn't.
So they go in and try and interview the nuns because the father. That's the whole reason
Like,
they stayed overnight.
What is going on? Yeah.
Well, so during the day when they're not doing their vow of silence, they can interview the nuns. So he goes in to interview the nuns, and she goes off and follows the rando nun
Awana
Rizian.
nun?
Yeah, Wana
His
nun.
name was Awana.
I know, like when.
Todd made a lot of jokes.
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
when
Like,
she revealed her name was Awana, I was
Yeah,
like, well,
like-
I want to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
The father and not quite a nun separate.
yes, and Frenchie has already gone back, so they're all separated.
Yeah.
And she's talking to these nuns. She's learning the story about the abbey, which was built by some
By a count.
count. Yeah.
It really is a castle. It's not an abbey. It is a castle, but they're
they
calling it an
call it
abbey
an
because
abbey.
nuns live there. I get that.
Yes.
But it's not shaped like an abbey. It's very
It's
much
not
a
quite
castle.
an
Yeah.
abbey.
It
Yeah.
looks like fucking Hogwarts.
It does.
It does look like Hogwarts.
Yeah.
More evil Hogwarts. And he's got like these hanging bodies hanging upside down over this pentagram.
The count
the
does.
count is.
Yes.
Yes.
And,
he's-
they explain that he was trying to bring forth a devil or whatever.
Yes,
But he-
Valak. And this is when
Yeah.
we see the father Amorth starting to look through these books and picking out this. We see the name Valak and we see like kind of the book explanation of what's going on as this nun's talking about it.
Yes.
So then the church, the Knight Templars break in and they've got this Christmas tree ornament with like the blood of
It
Jesus
is a
in
Christmas
there.
tree ornament,
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yes, it's exactly what it looks
It looks exactly, yes.
Except it's got the blood of Christ inside of
Wait,
it.
do they not all?
Some of mine do.
Okay.
It depends. The ones you get at Target do not have the blood of Christ.
Oh, yeah?
But the ones you cross-stitch do.
My Christmas vacation cousin Eddie Trailer has the blood of Christ.
That's what makes it powerful.
Where's the blood of Christ, Margot? I don't know, Todd.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, anyway, that is a deep cut
That
National
is.
Lampoon's Christmas Vacation reference that no
That's
one's going to
so
get.
deep cut. That's the quote that everybody knows.
That's
I
like
the
know
most
that on
popular
sweatshirt.
Christmas
I know,
movie.
but I
And why is
changed.
the carpet all wet?
You did change it
Todd?
up.
I just changed it up to make it
Fuck,
fit.
you
Yeah.
fucked it up.
I didn't fuck it up. I made it fit
You
the nun.
fucked
God.
It.
My comedy
up.
gold words. This is
Oh
where
yeah, so we got the Christmas tree ornament, and they like use the drops of
The Templars
Jesus
do.
blood from Christmas tree ornament
to close up
the portal to hell.
Yeah,
it's the stupidest sentence you've ever said.
Yeah, thank you for remembering that because I checked out. I
was-
remember there was a portal and
Yeah.
something was going on with it.
Well, I mean,
but
it was, I don't know. It was probably like the 1400s-ish time period or around
Yeah,
that time.
Knights
Okay, but-
Templary time.
Yeah.
explain this to me. How did they know the portal was about to reopen?
I'm sure the writer just wants you to think that they alerted the Templars and then they
Oh, yeah.
came and
They sent
killed
up the bat signal?
They killed the Duke or Count or whatever, and then they
They
poured the blood of
projected a
Christ.
Christmas tree ornament in the sky. And that's how they knew to. Then they busted in and they saved the day or something.
The Templars did, and then
Yeah.
the nuns stayed there, and the nuns have been there
Yes,
since then.
they're trying to contain
so like the
evil.
1300s, right?
Yeah, because I was like, why would anybody go to this weirdo cross forest place? But it's because their job as nuns is to keep the evil in.
Yes, and it
So
was
none of
fine
it
for
gets
hundreds
out.
of years until World War II, and this is where we find out what happened. So
Yeah.
World War II
Hitler bombs
bombings,
everything.
or whoever, I don't know who was in
It cracked
Romania.
open again.
Yeah, so it
and-
cracked
A
open the
bomb
evil.
fell in the attic.
And I guess
Yeah.
that's when all the nuns maybe got killed.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
No, the nun killed all the nuns.
That's what.
Well, that's what I'm
the
saying.
evil comes
Yeah.
out, and
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then-
Slowly.
yeah.
It's like a tiny little crack, and it slowly creeps up
yes,
and gets those nuns, one by one, nun by nun.
we're never gonna leave here, Clint.
Nope.
What time is it?
We live in the pod loft. I
Yeah,
gotta drive
it's
to
a single location podcast.
Holy shit, that was amazing. So
Nice.
while we're learning this, the day is progressing, and
Yeah.
then we cut back to the father is
lady.
talking to Abbey Blackveil lady, yeah, and
Nice.
so she sort of explains that
The gates close and the gates open,
Yeah.
and there's like the nuns have been dead for 10 years, and
Right.
like all kind of shit's crazy. And then we see her cross glowing, and then we hear that creepy bone.
Yeah, and then we
thing.
figure out that she's just another entity of the nun.
Exactly, yeah.
So
yeah,
Yeah, that whatever
But
Game
really,
of Thrones guy stopped
whatever the
whispering in her
fuck she
ear so
says,
disappears.
all it needs to get across is that they can't leave because the gates close at night,
Yeah.
and it is now night. And this is where the nun Iwana, locks almost a nun in the same room that the beginning chick hung herself in.
Right.
Right?
Which, for a junior nun, she's got a nice view. Those windows were pretty nice.
Oh, yeah.
In her room.
These are all entities of the evil nun.
Yes.
Right?
None of them actually
None of them are
exist.
actually real. So the goal
Every
should
time I say
be
the
that
word
they're
nun,
all
I
trying to manipulate the main characters. And I think that's what that they were trying to go for.
Yeah.
But it was done in such a shitty way.
They really
that
should have set up that she had to stand in the pentagram.
Yes.
Because she does do that. She eventually gets manipulated into standing into the pentagram.
Yeah.
But they don't explain why that's a big deal.
Nope.
And it might not be. It might just been that they had to kill like an hour with creepiness, and so that's why all of this stuff is happening.
Either way, there are a few jump scares in the night in her room.
Yeah,
Because they lock her in the room.
Mm-hmm. And she goes and sees the nun in the mirror. This is the first time I think we actually see the face of the nun.
Yes, it is. In
and
the
then
reverse mirror shot.
Yeah. And then that thing falls over, but
That
the big
also
cross.
scared the fook out of me.
Yeah.
It was the worst.
Yeah, because she's standing in this creepy convent, and you see the shadow of the nun just walking.
All the way around behind her.
Yeah, and she doesn't leave. But I also think, like, she has seen visions before, so she might just think, well, this is just a vision. Who
Sure.
knows? Well, where's she going to go? I mean, that nun.
She's locked in that room.
All right. So, but it's a dream.
Well, and then that's the end of that night. And again, they don't leave.
They don't leave. Yeah. What do they do all day?
This is
Hang
where they
out?
find out they've got to get the relic.
Oh,
and
yeah,
they've got the key. So this is where
All of
this
the
is where
nuns,
Frenchie
they're
comes
like,
back.
we've got to survive the night. We've got to go. So all of the nuns take her in. They say,
Oh, this is still during
We
the
have
night.
to
you're
pray.
not quite a nun yet, so you need to get the fuck out. And
Oh.
they say, but the gate's locked. There's no way we can get out of the gate. So they all have to go into the chapel and just pray all the time so Valak won't get them. That's the only way. Apparently there's a nun that is constantly praying like night and day. And so now they all have to pray. So they go in, they say, whatever you do, look straight ahead the whole time. Don't turn around. She turns around several times.
Yeah.
And I thought some shit was going to happen.
Well, some
but
shit did
apparently
happen.
It doesn't matter.
It-
Blew
it-
all the nuns away, and they
and
all
then like ripped
crunched
her the
against
back
some
of her
shit.
shirt off.
Yeah, drew a
And, like,
pentagram on her back.
Yeah, like whipped one into her back. It looked like.
Yeah, it's like what's the cat o' nine tail things?
Yes.
But she's not doing it to herself. The evil is
No, it's
putting that
happening while she's
pentagram on
praying.
her.
Yeah, it was real hot.
Yeah, I was thinking, hey, there's some nudity for you, Todd.
That's not nudity.
It was kind of
Shoulders aren't
cool.
What am I, Amish? Shoulders aren't nudity.
It was kind of cool watching those nuns just have their faces smashed into pews and stuff
yeah,
like that.
dude.
That was
it
a good
like
time.
Blew them all apart. There was a lot of people getting blown into things really hard.
Yeah, a lot
Tornado
of people got
breath.
blown in this movie.
Yeah, and there was some spitting too.
I'm out.
So they're praying, and some shit goes down, and then the men break in to save the day.
Right. Well, this is where the father and Frenchie reunite because he's in the icebox
He
trying to
realizes
get out.
he can get out. No, he can get in that way. He's
Yeah.
trying to get in to get her.
Yeah.
And then he
And
sees
he gets attacked by
Icebox Nun.
Icebox Nun, and then
Yeah.
Frenchie like knocks her head off with a shovel or
Yeah, I think a shovel. She's about to get him with her bell or something. And
Yeah.
her bell and her evil, and then he shovels her to the head. And
Either
then
way,
saves
Frenchie
the day.
saves the day, and they go in, and you hear them banging on the door where almost a nun is praying.
And she says, "The men are here. The father's here. We're okay now."
I was 100% sure this was a jump scare because they
Yeah.
set it up. Don't stop praying. Do not look
Yes,
behind you.
yes.
And the first thing she does when she hears knocking at a door is
like, "Oh,
stop
oh,
praying
what's
and
behind
turn
me?"
around and walk
Yeah.
and open the door they barred shut.
Would you say she just wouldn't listen?
Yeah, I would say the almost a nun
Can't follow
didn't listen. Yeah.
directions. Because she hasn't taken her vows yet.
But I mean, but she was right to do so because they
right. The men did come and save the day.
Well,
so, you know.
she saves
Yeah.
the day. And anyway, the father's like, "Hey, we should get the fuck out of here," and she's like,
no, but all my nun friends. And then she looks around and sees that there are none in there.
Yeah, there are. Well, no, there is one
Oh yeah, there's
covered
one
by
nun.
a sheet.
Yeah, who we have seen before was Juana Nun with blood coming out of her eyes.
Yes. Well, and
and that
hands.
was
It was
sad.
It was stigmata. That was the
Yeah.
stigmata. Yeah.
Oh, I know, I got that.
Yeah. So anyway, so she goes.
And she covers her back up, and so they're all just praying with this dead nun in the corner.
Yeah, and then
And
the
then
dead
they all
nun
get
attacks
blown
them.
away. Yeah,
That was fucking freaky for me.
yeah, that was.
I hated.
With all the blowing wind and
there
the
were so many
praying
jump scares
nuns.
I hated in this goddamn movie. It was the worst.
It was really fun to watch you watch this movie.
I hated
because
it.
You were really scared.
I had turtled by this point. My shirt was around my
Yeah,
it
this was
over
around
my
the time, I
nose.
think.
Yeah.
Buttoned up. Okay, so then she said, but my nun friends, I can't leave my nun friends. Come to find out there were no nun friends the whole time. You shake your head all you want. I like.
I'm
my
shaking
puns.
because it's stupid.
Yeah. It is stupid.
Not your puns. The movie is stupid.
It is stupid.
So anyway, they set the nun that's attacking them on
Nun
fire.
is on fire.
Yeah, literally,
Yeah.
they set her on
No,
fire.
it was a vampire nun first, though, because they're just like, oh, it's so sad. And then the nun comes. This was your biggest jump, I think.
Probably.
And I wasn't expecting it either. I think I did too.
I did not expect
So
it.
they're just standing over this nun. They're like, well, that's it. This place is evil. That we solved the mystery. Time to go.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, vampire nun like jumps up and stabs somebody with
From
like a
under the
cross
sheet.
crucifix.
He stabs
Yeah.
she
Stabs
stabs the
Frenchie.
father.
Looked at the picture
I thought
and
it's-
found out that the nun has been dead for 100 years, not just 10 years.
Oh, that's like
because
10
it's all
times bigger.
wrinkly. And then that nun jumps up and dude, Frenchie like blows its head off with a shotgun. No, did they set him on fire?
They
first?
set it on fire, and then it starts to run at them, and that's
then
when
he
Frenchie
shoots
shoots it
him.
with a. And this is the other attempt at humor. Shoots it with a shotgun and says, "That seemed like an emergency,"
Yeah,
Yeah.
they set that up earlier.
but it wasn't. Like the joke
Yeah.
doesn't really land.
Everybody laughed like with their mics real far away. You know.
This is when the father and Frenchie are like, "We should get the fuck out," and she's like, "No, we got to close the portal."
Oh, for fuck's
Sake
sake.
evil, but first,
Fucking
I must
portal.
take my vows.
Oh yeah,
I didn't really explain. They didn't
And
really
that's when
explain
she
that.
all, like,
Why does she have
Linda
to take her
Hamilton's
vows?
out, you know, because she has to have her nun power.
she has to.
She's only at half level so far because she's only half.
She has to become a full
She's
nun.
not quite a nun.
She has to get into the habit of being a nun.
I
didn't
see.
realize that they. I like you're like, didn't love that joke, Todd. I liked how she's like laying face down.
Yeah, dude.
Arms.
Is
that how they
you
do it? I don't
became
know.
nuns?
I do not know.
Didn't you? I mean, you're the closest.
I thought maybe that was legit. I don't know.
I mean,
that was the one thing I wanted to look up.
Listeners, if you're a nun, tell us what it was like.
when
Do
you
think
laid
nuns
face
listened?
down and a priest yelled at you for whatever.
Yeah, the power of nun compels you.
So many jokes I want to make right now.
Yeah.
It
Out of
was-
respect
it
for
was
the
sorta
Catholic
hot.
Church.
Anyway,
not.
so she gets up now,
Yeah.
fully a nun.
And she's fully got her powers now.
Yeah, she has fully become the bride of Christ.
She has.
Yeah. So they take the
Yeah.
key. They
It's
go
been
find.
consummated.
They go find the statue of Mary that is literally pointing
That
the
is
way
pointing
to
the way.
the
To the keyhole in the
relic.
wall.
Yeah.
Which is the relic, and then they open the door, and there's like
It
a
more or
shiny
less is just like a
Christmas tree.
medicine cabinet for this. Yeah, it's like a stone medicine
There's some
cabinet.
Band-Aids in the side of it.
Whose ED meds are this? Oh, Father, is this yours? My bad.
Why do you need these?
So she gets the Christmas ornament of Christ. Dude, Jen is almost spitting out her water right now. She gets the
Okay. Yeah, she gets the Christmas tree of Christ.
not the Christmas tree, the Christmas ornament of Christ. And then they go try and find. They go through the scary door that the two nuns went in the first time.
Yeah. The
To try and
evil
find
lies
the
here or
portal,
something.
right?
Yeah,
And
the
they all
doorway to
split
Mordor.
up. Yeah, they all split up because they're real dumb.
Yeah, because the nun confuses them with her evil nun magic.
Yes.
Yeah, like there's all kind of weird doors. We have to look in all these doors to find where the nun is.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
Anyways,
there wasn't much subtlety for once. I mean, this was the time she opened the door, and the nun is just standing there.
Oh,
yeah.
And the nun turns
Tries to
around.
suck her in, yeah. And I did actually like this part, like because there's all kind of crazy rooms with just weird, creepy nuns in there. Like there's one just a bunch of nuns with no faces that just start to slowly follow you until you light the cross on fire on the floor.
Well, that was the father's
Yeah.
thing that separated him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this all ends with the formerly not fully a nun, but now fully a nun standing in the pentagram.
Yes.
And then
she-
we start to follow Frenchie.
She walks in, and all of a sudden a candle lights, and so she
Yes.
walks over to investigate, and then they all start lighting around her.
and
I
you
knew this
realize
was gonna
she's in the
happen.
pentagram.
She's in
yeah.
a pentagram.
That was a pretty cool reveal. I
It
didn't
was
see
cool.
that coming because I've never seen movies like this really.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you were like, ugh, called it.
Yeah,
but I was
I
like,
saw it.
oh my God, that's very good because
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
I mean, it was effective. I think
it was
I-
effective. But
I
then
mean,
once you
you
see
know,
her
it
in there,
is
she
what it is.
screams, and then it cuts to Frenchie's
Yeah.
perspective.
And then there's a bunch of nuns wearing her same outfit with bloody
Yeah.
bags over their faces.
Well, this is when Freddie breaks in. Frenchie, not Freddie.
Freddie,
sorry,
yeah.
Frenchie breaks in.
making his knife.
I
puns, knife
really
finger
liked
puns.
the way Frenchie broke in because he shot the door. So
Yeah, and then
it-
he fell down.
Yeah, he like jumped into it to like break it down, and he breaks it down, but then falls down the steps.
Yeah,
and then
and
he
then-
stands up, and there's a bunch of nuns that look exactly like not quite a nun,
Yeah.
and he like starts to slowly step out.
Yeah.
And then he hears,
and then
one
he
of them-
realizes he actually has to deal with
Yeah,
this.
and he's
So he
like,
walks
"Fuck."
in.
Dude, the guy who said something in this scene was my favorite because it was really scary. And every time he got close to one, it would like make a sound, like the bone cracking sound, and it
Yeah.
would like look at him, but you couldn't. There,
Yeah,
it was
'cause
just like
the
the
bloody
bag
face
over their
nun.
head.
Yeah.
I feel like audience-wise, that was the most intense scene. Like people were just
was.
really
It was.
creeped out
And
by
that
that.
guy
And he had a shotgun,
He
and
said,
he was
"Shoot
like,
her
"Shoot her
anyways."
anyway!" It was so fucking
It was
funny.
funny. So eventually, I don't know how he gets all the nuns. Oh, they just walk away. And then
Yeah.
she sees bloody face nun in the middle of the pentagram, like hovering kind of, and realizes that it's probably not quite a nun, although now a nun. And so he he takes the bloody hood off.
And it's right.
And she's now demon face nun.
She is.
Yeah,
For
and
2
she attacks
seconds.
him.
Because she throws him up against the wall and then starts like to choke him or whatever.
Yeah.
But he has the Christ Christmas ornament.
Yeah.
And he gets some of the
And
blood on his
somehow
hand
gets
and
some of
wipes
it
it
out.
on her face.
How do you actually get the blood out of that ornament?
There was like a lid and you pour it into your hand. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
super
So I was
easy.
confused by that part because I didn't see any blood. You
Oh, yeah,
know?
I think he just wiped just a tiny bit. on
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
I don't know.
Mufasa'd her.
It's
Or
like an Ash Wednesday thing.
Well, yeah, okay,
Mufasa.
Ash Wednesday, but also when they do the king thing
Mufasa.
for, yeah.
Yeah.
So he Mufasa'd her face, and then the demon comes out of her, and
Oh, I
she
love
is
it.
now regular, now full a nun.
Yeah, and there's the nun standing behind her. So I don't know. This
And
is
then-
when the stupidity of it started to become a
Yes.
little overwhelming for me. And I
Yes.
was like, okay.
Agreed.
And then
Yeah.
evil nun chokes the shit out of Frenchie.
Yeah.
Like to the point where you're like, he hasn't said the safe word, but he's no longer purple. He's now blue.
yeah, I
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
maybe he was dead.
And
Yeah.
then like shoots
But-
a snake into his mouth, right?
We don't see that.
Oh, you're right. Did we mention that Father Amorth got a snake to the eye?
That hasn't happened yet.
somewhere.
that I thought that happened around the same time. That's
It
what
does.
he was
I don't
off
know.
doing.
It all happened so fast.
Yeah, so the
There's a bunch
boy
of
is still
crazy-
he's still chasing this fucking kid.
Yeah.
Thinking that he's going to
Yes,
do something
who cares
about it.
The kid. The kid is dead. You saw the kid die. You probably buried the kid.
Yeah, but the snake
Not a real
fully
kid.
first it tries to strangle him, I think.
Yeah.
And then takes a bite out of his or bite into his
Like,
eye. We
yeah.
don't really get a good shot of his eye,
Tries to.
but it's
It
fucked
looked
up by
like-
the end of the movie.
It looked like later, it did
he
fuck
had
up
a
his eye.
bandage
Yeah.
over his eye. Yeah, because he
So-
But
tried to get snake
spoiler alert,
raped in
he
the eye.
lives.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Everybody
so
lives.
They get
Yeah.
there is no body count in this movie, really,
Boo.
because all the nuns are dead
None
when we
at the
arrive.
beginning. None at the beginning.
There needed to
Hanging
Well,
nuns.
the
needed
two
to be
nuns, I guess, at the beginning, but
Yeah.
the point the heroes arrive, no one dies.
Yeah.
lame.
Which, yeah,
But
I knew
it's
you'd think it was lame. I didn't like that either. Really,
Bloody scary movie for really nobody really dying too.
yeah, they end up in the where the
She falls in a puddle somehow.
it's not a puddle,
Like-
man. That's neck deep.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's honestly a room off of the room where the
And
pentagram
that's when
was.
Todd leaned over and he's like,
Oh yeah,
"She's wearing white."
Yeah, I was like the nuns.
When he fell- when
she
she
was
fell in the
wearing white and
water.
she got all wet. I was like, yo, she wearing white too.
Oh,
Finally, I'm into
dear.
this movie.
Yeah. But you couldn't. It was too thick. It was like wool or some shit.
Yeah,
Back
she's
to the
a nun.
well.
You couldn't
Yeah.
see it. Yeah, I know. I was like, this is some Naomi Watts type shit. I'm into it.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so then the evil nun is like choking the shit out of not quite a nun under the water.
Yeah.
And then
Uh-huh.
you see her
And she
grab
see her
the
grab
Christ
the cross-
ornament,
Mhm.
and the nun then picks her up out of the water, and
And
you
we think
see
she's
that
dead.
there's a hole in the ornament where the blood was.
And there's the
and
the
then-
blood is gone now.
Yeah.
And then not quite a nun lifts her face up and spits the blood right in evil nun's face.
Yeah.
And it like melts her. She
And
goes,
when,
Yeah, she melts like
and
the Wicked Witch of the
when
West.
did that
She does.
happen? When did that happen underwater?
Oh, my
When she
gosh.
put
I
all of it in her
know. Yeah.
put all of it in her mouth. Don't even.
sorry, what was that,
We were
Clint?
talking about the blood of Christ.
I
and
mean,
Jennifer
listen.
is giggling.
Yeah, I'm into it. Once you put all of it into her mouth, Clint,
underwater.
Wow.
Yeah.
sometimes
Then
they can't
spits
get it all in
out.
their mouth or throat. They've really got to force it.
Kind of a tennis ball to tell you when you gone too far.
It's not a tennis ball, but when you get to the balls, you've definitely gone too far,
Yeah.
or just far enough.
In the name of the Father and the Son.
It reminds me of the joke. What did Cinderella say when she got to the ball?
What?
Wow. Wow.
Oh my God.
Have you not heard that
You
joke?
just named an episode.
I didn't make that joke up. I heard that joke when I was like in the 5th
It
grade.
was funny. I've never
Wow.
heard it. I'm
Yeah.
classy, so
yeah,
you know.
yeah, I wouldn't go
fuck
that
with
far.
those kind of
Anyway,
jokes.
so
Yeah.
that's more or
Aw.
less the end of that
Yeah,
evil nun,
melts
right?
the nun, dries up all the water,
And then
and we
seals
think
the-
that she's
seals the
gonna
gateway to
die.
hell.
Yeah, and Frenchie gives her a
The kiss of
mouth to
life,
mouth.
right?
Yeah, and somebody in the theater, the same person in the theater, yelled chest compressions.
Yeah, that's
really
funny.
He's like, no, I didn't really kiss you because apparently nobody knew what that thing was back then except for Frenchie.
Yeah.
Who has
Frenchie invented mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
He did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the name, Frenchie.
They then load up the carriage they came in because now Philippe is fine to go to the
He came
not
back.
now, haunted place.
He sensed that the evil
Don't
was
remember
gone.
a horse in this movie.
The horse. How do you think? Who drew the carriage?
But I don't remember the horse being
has,
like a part of the
the
part
horse
of the
has
plot.
the fourth most screen time in this movie.
He does.
Anyway.
He's the smartest one because he doesn't fuck with all the shit. Yeah.
Anyway, so they're loading it up. It is sort of revealed at the end that Frenchie has a upside down cross in his neck.
Yes, because the not quite a nun, well, now a nun has buried everybody,
Yes.
and the evil is gone, and now it is holy ground, and everything's
Right.
happy. She's not wearing her nun clothes anymore, but I guess she's still a nun.
I mean, she got all wet. She had to change. I mean,
well, that's true.
how many habits do you
Plus,
bring
they
with
put
you?
those suitcases on the back of a truck and they drove off. I think they got them back, but
They did get him back. Stop being a child.
And in that scene, the license plate says Valak, and I think there were dice in the mirror.
Oh, wow. Will Smith was in this movie for a second.
Yeah, then we see the upside down cross like on the back of
On
his
the
neck,
back of his
so we
neck.
know.
And this is sort of
Although it's a Conjuring movie, so we know it's not over. We know there's.
Well, and they also-
something
They had
in
to
here.
explain how the nun survived all the way up to The Conjuring 2, which is
Right.
many, many years later.
I think that Christmas tree ornament's going to get its own spin-off too. I hear it's in development.
Is that real?
No.
Oh, my God.
But it's so
I
dumb.
wouldn't
It
put
sounded
past
real.
it, yeah. Then we see 20 years later, we see scenes from I haven't seen The Conjuring in a
That's
while.
the first one, yeah.
Is this from the actual Conjuring? 'Cause
Yeah, they're
Lily,
showing a bunch of different, sort of like a flashpoint presentation of their cases.
Yeah, and I think I remember this. They're talking about an exorcism, and it's Frenchie we see who's been possessed because apparently a snake got into him.
Well, and don't we also see the not quite a nun who's now a full nun in that same shot?
We do, and she's like, ah.
Yeah.
And then Lorraine Warren was like, hey, that looks suspiciously like me.
Yeah.
I wonder if we have some kind of connection that we should explore later.
In another movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then fade to black.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
Thank
that's the end
God.
of the movie.
I hated this movie so much. There were so many jump scares that I could not handle.
Yeah, this was an intense movie. For as dumb as it was very scary, I think.
It was spooky.
The
Yeah.
atmosphere, the scares were effective.
I had a good time. I'll never watch it again.
Yeah.
I've already forgotten 50%
I
of
can
it.
put
I
it
didn't
back.
have a good time,
I
and
can
I
see
hated
this being
it.
a good background movie. You know, because it is spooky. You know, you can look up. You don't really have to know what's going on because none of it makes sense. You can just look up and see some spooky nun stuff. And I will say, like, there was a lot of jump scares, but it wasn't all jump scares. Like, a lot of it was just really scary imagery,
Creepy imagery, yeah.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was
and then jump scares that were terrifying.
It had too many jump scares and not enough story.
Totally agree.
Agreed.
Yes. And the story that it had, because I do think it had a story, the story didn't make sense.
Right.
You know? They're like, we just want this thing to happen right now, so we're going to just do it. And who cares if this vampire nun that's laying on the ground that's been dead for 100 years suddenly comes to life? What the fuck was that? Where did that grave come from? Yeah. It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
That's okay. Also, the plot was using the blood of Christ to seal a portal to hell. What the fuck? The review I read had that, and then in parentheses it said, yes, really. And then just continued on with
I mean,
the plot.
that's what they teach you in seminary.
That the blood of Christ seals portals to hell?
Yeah.
Do you have an ornament with the blood of Christ in it?
I am not allowed to talk about it.
Oh. But does Mary point the way in your house? Where's your key?
I'm not wearing my
just
key
edit
like I
this
normally
part
am.
out. Oh,
Someone else
really?
is wearing my key.
Uh-oh. Is it a nun?
Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. What do we do?
It's
We
not-
scary scale it. That's what we do.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Do you want to
It's
explain
not-
the scary
it's just
scale for
not-
new
yeah.
listeners?
Scary scale. Yes, scary scale is how scary we thought the movie is. Yeah, that's it. It's a 1 to 10 ranking, how scary we thought it was today. Our 1 example is Ghostbusters, and our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is not quality of movie.
No.
This is how scary we thought.
Yes.
Because lots of times we say that because we think the movie is of higher quality than what we would rank it on scary scale.
Or vice versa,
I
which
think
is what I'm going
today
to say
is
about
gonna
this.
be vice versa.
So for me, since you make me go first, I'm going to say it was a 9 for me. I still think Hereditary was much scarier than this. This had just so many jump scares. But I wouldn't even give this a number. If it was a quality rating, I would give it a none. Because it was so bad, I would give it a none.
A none.
But scary scale, a 9 for me, which I realize is probably a lot higher than you guys will.
Yeah.
But I can't handle jump scares. I'm just not equipped for that.
This one was, it reminded me of like riding a roller coaster. Nothing's really going to happen. It's not like really going to change your life in any way, but it's fun to watch it and get really scared and then like laugh at yourself,
I apparently asked you to kill me at some point
That's
during
true,
this movie,
yeah.
so I don't feel that way about it.
Well, the theater that we watched it in, there were some fun, like there were moments where we all screamed and then laughed too, which I love in horror movies. I think I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay, that's higher than I thought. I thought I
Yeah.
would be the only one above 5, to be honest with you.
Oh,
Oh, really? I give
Yeah.
it an 8.
Oh, yeah? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, and it could have been just the theater that we were in with the
Yeah.
really, really loud
Oh,
sound
yeah.
system.
Is it RPX or whatever?
RPX,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, and the fully surround sound really makes you feel like
Yeah.
there's shit going on behind you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the
Ugh.
storm helped. And I mean, yeah, I just thought it was spooky. I thought it had great atmosphere.
Yeah.
Well, and
Good
like
jump scares.
lots of times I rate movies higher than you guys because of like the disturbing quality of it. Like I
Yeah.
will think about it later and I'll be afraid, or like
Yeah.
Hereditary really just fucked with me.
That same here, but this movie had nothing like
Yeah,
that.
this is
like
not
I'm not going to
lasting
lose any
scares.
sleep over
Hereditary
it.
stuck
Yeah.
with me for weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Weeks.
still trying
You
to
should
get
watch it
over
again. It
Hereditary.
helps.
No, I'll
It
never
helps.
watch any of these movies again.
It helps.
I would watch Behind the Mask
Mm-hmm.
if we can get Nathan on the show with
And
us. We'll watch
Tremors.
with him.
Is that
I'd
it?
watch Tremors, yeah.
Dr. Giggles.
I would not watch Dr. Giggles again. That movie's fucking horrible.
Oh, you
But
break
yeah,
my heart.
But this one, it doesn't change me in any way. It doesn't really add anything to my life. It's superficial scares, which are fun, but not lasting. That's the movie, guys.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got next?
Yeah, so what are we doing
What
next?
is next?
Well,
Well,
next week is Carrie.
It's
Yeah, next
Carrie.
week is Carrie.
Yeah,
Next week is Carrie.
and I know
Yeah.
we've said that once already, but this
for
time we really
realsies
mean it.
This
Yeah.
time, yeah. Hey, you got an extra week to read the book, and it's on Audible. So if you're looking for an Audible book, go
Yeah.
for Carrie. Sissy Spacek reads it. It's really good.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Remember to follow us on socials at Horror Virgin on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Jen Ferratu is on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
I am Todd J. Awesome
Yep.
on Instagram and Twitter. Clint is not on the internet, guys.
But we're still looking for that fanfic
Trying
from
to
the
get
Angel
that
Fire blog.
Angel Fire blog going if he
Yeah.
can get it started.
Yeah.
The male
hey, give us
gaze.
a text review too, or you could win a mug,
Yes.
an awesome Horror Virgin mug.
Yes.
Yeah.
And guys, we're getting in October. It's going to be awesome.
Yes.
Our
We got a
busy
lot of
season.
shows we're doing in
I
Have
think-
we
October.
mentioned too that we're going to kind of let go of our A/B rotation thing?
We
for
haven't,
October?
but we should.
Yeah. We're just
yeah.
going to really try to fuck with
We're
Todd.
bringing the A. We're bringing the A list. We're bringing the mainstream. Bringing
Yeah.
some of your faves.
And
so
we're going to have, I think, 6 episodes in October. So
Yep.
some not surprise because we just told you about it, but some off Monday episode drops.
Yeah.
That reminds me, if you're listening to us on the Modern Horrors podcast feed, awesome.
Because we are a member of that network and they're
Yeah.
awesome.
We are a member of that network and they are awesome, as Jen just said. If you haven't checked them out, they've got Final Girls. They've got the
got
Modern
a little
Horrors
something for
podcast.
everyone.
Yeah, they
Right.
do. If you like horror, you will like everything on that network.
Yes. If you're listening to us on that stream, subscribe to our feed so you get it on Monday instead of listening to it on Wednesday. You get it
Yeah.
2 days earlier.
And also, like, we post a lot of stuff about when we're watching things. So if you're looking for clues about what some upcoming episodes might be, check our social media out. Like, we'll usually post a picture of how terrified Todd was. And it's funny.
For you guys,
Yeah, it is funny.
yeah.
And for our listeners, too.
Yay.
Yeah.
it's the only downside of me not being on the internet.
Yeah.
I can't see those pictures.
You can live vicariously.
Well, you're there. You get to see it live.
Right.
You jerk. All right. I think that's
Hey,
us
guys.
for,
I
for
think
us
that's
then,
it.
yeah?
Yep, I'm Clint.
I am the Virgin
Uh,
Todd.
I'm Jennifer.
Catch you next week.
Ah.
Bye.